Hello, and welcome to episode 92 of the Movie Bros podcast. We're your hosts, as always, Duncan and Hayden. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, salutations, bonjour. I think those are all the things that I know. Ciao.
Hi.
If you're new, folks, this is a weekly podcast. Two brothers pick a movie, watch that movie, discuss, ramble, banter, argue, dissect, whatever about that said movie. We cover all genres, all eras. If there's something you think we should have watched, well, chances are we've either already watched it, so you should look back through the first 91 episodes, or we haven't, and you should suggest it in our comment section, which is on YouTube or Spotify, or you can shoot us a direct message on Instagram at @themovie_bros. I think that's all the buzzwordy things. Hayden, what are we talking about this week?
This week we are talking about The Summit of the Gods. That is the English translation. There's also a Japanese and a French one, which I will not be attempting. This was released in 2021. It's a Netflix production. This is a French production, so it made by a French animation company, and then distribution rights were bought by Netflix. I'm going to butcher a whole bunch of names here, so strap in for that. This is directed by Patrick Humbert, adapted by Magali Pozzol, based upon the Japanese manga by Jiro Taniguchi and Baku Yumimukura. Music here is by why am I getting stuck on that? Music here is by Amine Bawafa. This doesn't have a cinematographer necessarily written down in its credits, so there probably just wasn't an official one. So did you watch this with the English dubbing or the French language with subtitles?
English dub.
See, I watched it with French language, so I didn't write down the English dub actors.
That's fine.
The French voice actors I did wrote down are Eric Herson Macriel, Damien Boissarot, Marc Arnaud, and Gauthier Bateau. There are a couple other ancillary voices, but those are your main plot relevant characters. That's the information I have. Duncan, what would you like to start with?
Well, what's your rating for this?
I gave this a 3 out of 5.
I also gave it a 3 out of 5.
So should we just go into reasonings, or?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
I thought visually it was very nice. I think the animation was very interesting looking. Reminded me of rotoscoping sometimes. I do think that story-wise, this was a little slow. It's a little boring. If you look at the synopsis, it's like, oh, it's someone finding out the mystery of his hidden camera, and
It's not really about the camera.
yeah, technically that is true. I think maybe 20 minutes of the hour and a half is actually devoted to that. Most of this movie is, and by most I mean like an hour of this movie, is a backstory on the obsessive climber character.
Yes.
Which is still interesting, but that's not what I thought I was watching.
Sure. And to speak about the animation, I was thinking about this earlier, but a lot of times when I watch something in animation, I want the animation to play a more. I thought this was going to have more like. I thought it would make use more of like the big mountaineering landscapes, and it did in some places, but
A lot of the landscapes felt incredibly static.
yes. And there was one bit where Habu, I think was his name, was like going through like altitude sickness, and it was like, okay, it's getting a little crazy, and I was like, this is kind of what I want.
Yeah, and then it fades to black.
Yes. And I was like, okay, because when I think of animation, like really, like that's the reason you watch the animation is like, oh, like Finding Nemo or Into the Spider-Verse, or like something where the animation itself is truly a defining feature of the movie. And
Yes.
this, I don't feel like it really has that. And like you said, like without the animation really playing a big role, the story it's fine, it's serviceable, but like it wasn't that interesting for 90 minutes.
I think that this is animated because it's based on a graphic novel, and so they
Sure,
wanted to keep that
sure.
same art style, which I can appreciate, but I agree that it doesn't need to be animated, and I had the thought of if you remade this with live action actors, it might genuinely be more interesting because a lot of the facial animation is pretty sparse.
Well, when you think about that, they did make a movie called Everest with Joel Edgerton, and it's the guy who's like a side character in like every fucking movie. Let's hold
That's a lot
on.
of them.
Hold on. Everest. It is. It's not even the guy I was thinking of, but it was Jake Gyllenhaal, Josh Brolin, Jason Clarke is who I'm thinking of.
Okay. See, that's
Keira
crazy
Knightley.
because I wrote down that if you were to make this a live action movie, you could have Josh Brolin playing the older, like, obsessive climber guy, and then the younger guy could be Milo Venta something or other, the
Oh yeah,
Italian actor.
yes, but yeah, yeah. I mean, and it came out 2015, so I'm like, well, they kind of already did this movie live action anyway.
Yeah.
The only part of the movie where I was like, oh, there's this is actually like not interesting, but there's stakes, and I'm like, I have like the part where the young climber cuts himself out and
Yeah, that
falls.
was
That was
that
it. I was like, okay, well, that was kind of the only bit where I'm actually not just interested, but like the rest of the movie. Yes, you're climbing Everest, but everyone is so melancholy and so like stoic that even the bits where I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be
weirdly,
stressful. I'm like,
yes.
it's not. I don't feel like this is that stressful because no one is treating it like that. And then he touched into sort of, oh, maybe I'm seeing this ghost of the boy, and they did a
Yeah, that was
little bit
kind
of
of
that.
interesting.
Okay, but maybe do more of that, please.
Yeah, I it did feel like they were choosing the most like one note way to tell every single aspect of this story. And I agree that like yes, at first the animation is interesting, but once you get over
Mm-hmm.
like the actual animation style, you notice how stiff it looks. Like
Yes.
it doesn't look very fluid at all. It's very weird.
Well, I think you saying it coming from a manga makes total sense because when you look at a lot of the backgrounds, look more like, oh, this is like a painted background. And then all the
Yeah.
characters in the foreground have that like black outline to them. So I'm
Well,
sure if I looked at the manga, maybe I'm like, okay, maybe that's why they made it this way. But otherwise, it's not. It does. It just the movie never really grabbed me the way even the poster. I was like, okay, the poster like the red
sure.
lettering with like the climbing. I was like, this looks sick. Okay, I'm here for this.
Yeah, I thought that I thought it would be a lot more dynamic. Just I thought
Yes,
it'd be more just general interesting. I don't have that much written down, honestly.
me neither.
I would also say that the music does not help this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it was chosen specifically for a specific tone that they wanted, but this is some really calm, chill, like sometimes ambient sounding music that they have playing pretty much at
Hmm.
all times. Very, it doesn't help it feel exciting when everything sounds like Minecraft, essentially.
It was weird when I was watching this that I'm like, well, okay, it's a French movie about a Japanese mountaineering crew, and then I have it dubbed over in English. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's the lens that I'm viewing this through, but like, Jesus.
I did have that thought too of like, okay, would it be possibly any better if it was adapted by an actual anime studio? Because this is clearly not anime, even though it's
Yes,
based on a manga.
correct. Yeah, again, it wasn't so. I think a 3 out of 5 is perfectly. It's fine. I would say it's more good than not, but not something that I would literally tell anyone ever. Like, hey, you need to go watch this.
Yeah, I did message Morgan saying, "Hey, you might enjoy this more than I did." 'Cause he climbing's his whole thing.
Did you just change your microphone or something?
No?
Because you are like, I can barely understand you.
Can you hear me still?
No, I can. Yeah, that's okay. Now you're a little better, but just for the part where you referenced Morgan, you were just like super crackly, could barely understand you.
Well, to be fair, you're kind of pop rocking as well.
Pop rocking. Okay.
Well, you know. Okay, very cool.
Either way,
Let's see,
either
what else did I
way,
have written down? Would you say that the synopsis is misleading?
I think the camera is a MacGuffin, and yes, so the it's not really about the camera at all. Especially since in the end you don't even see the photos.
That pissed me off.
I was like, what the fuck was the point of this?
Like,
And he's like, I guess I'm
I
gonna go die in the snow. Okay, bye.
yeah, I was very frustrated that we finally get the MacGuffin, we open it up, and they pull a Pulp Fiction on us, and they don't actually show us what's in the MacGuffin. It was very
Mm-hmm.
frustrating to me.
And
I
also
would also
thinking
point
about
out
that,
that I wrote down, like, it's a whole hour before we actually get to Everest and the two of them start climbing. I
well,
get that
yes,
we
I
cover other things going on, but, like, the present day story doesn't really pick up for 70% of the movie.
well, I literally wrote actually gets interesting last 22 minutes. Prior, it's just a climbing
Yes.
movie, and it's mostly background. But what I was thinking about is
Yeah.
so the camera that they're all trying to find or whatever, the pictures on that would be so like they're
Well, they'd be ruined. They would be completely unusable.
even if they were survived, when you look at in the first like prologue or whatever, the guy actually is taking pictures with a camera in like the past, the quality of those pictures, even if they were like perfect, how old that camera is
Oh,
in
we'd be looking at blurs.
yeah in Everest, I'm like, dude, that thing would be total like
Yes.
whatever. I'm glad that we. I was actually thinking about this during the watch because I was like, okay, this isn't that great, but like this podcast is also forcing us to see things that we would totally not normally like go out of our way to watch. Like I think of
Yeah, I agree. I'd seen probably the same carefully chosen segments to get people to
course.
watch this, like, in clips on Instagram, but, like, I'm glad I now know.
Well, I think of like the last seven, like this and Secret Agent. I was like, oh, I don't know if I would have actually chosen to watch
We've
these otherwise.
we've really been picking just real winners recently, although it is weird that I would say I think this is actually better than Secret Agent plot-wise.
Well, it's shorter.
It
It's
is shorter.
literally an hour shorter.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the past episode. If you guys like to listen to that, go listen to the episode right before this.
I mean, and if we're thinking about merchandising or buckets, I mean, you could do a climbing helmet. You could do a lot of different. I think that's an easy one for this.
Probably.
But otherwise, I don't have a ton else to say about it.
Yeah, me neither. I would say if you like the style of animation in this, like the kind of very like rotoscope looking kind of stuff, I would suggest watching a movie called A Scanner Darkly, which is a Richard Linklater animated movie with Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr., which is super weird, super trippy. It's about an alternate future where hallucinogenic drugs are rampant and there's like a totalitarian police state tracking them down. It's based on a Philip K. Dick story, but that's a very cool movie. It's definitely more visually inventive than this, though. Well, I
Well,
heard that you went and saw something incredible in theaters.
and before we jump to that, we should say like, if this is your first time listening to us, and you're like, man, they really only talked about the movie for like 12 minutes. That is not always the case. You know, it just depends on the movies. Sometimes we'll talk for an hour. But sometimes it's 20 minutes. You just never. So
It depends on the movie.
just just in case, you know, we happen to get a new listener on an episode 92. But yes, so usually, folks, we transition from talking about the general discussion of the movie we watched to things we watched, things we are looking forward to, trailers, things like that, which there are a couple trailers, there's a couple things we watched.
Yeah,
Did you see the trailer for Clayface?
I have. Do we want to talk about that? If it's going to be a series instead?
I don't, no, it's not a series, it's a movie.
I thought it was a series.
No, it's a movie. Of
Ah, well, and absolutely, yes, we can. We want to stay on brand.
course.
I hope it's good. It
I
just
hope it's
makes
good.
me more confused about the cohesiveness and continuity of the DC moving forward, though,
Because
because it
this looks
definitely
so
feels more Reeves,
this
but
looks so
Gunn
much more
hasn't come
dark.
out and said, "Oh, it's definitely connected to this or to that."
He's literally said it's supposed to be set right before Superman. I'm like,
Are we
okay.
sure? Because
I don't know, I
like
mean,
That's so
Well,
totally different.
keep in mind it's supposed to be set in Gotham, and maybe Gotham is so much more dark than Metropolis. I don't know, but
I mean, it is, but like, I don't know.
the
I
milky
would
face
say
stuff
it
looks
does look
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Looks like they're doing a lot of like physical prosthesis stuff, which looks very cool.
And what else? There was a
So there was a trailer released for the next Evil Dead Burn.
of course.
Very minimal, just kind of shows a woman being chased around by something.
Okay. Well, I mean, especially if it's a teaser, I feel like
Yeah,
that's fine.
I don't know. I'm still on board. I like Evil Dead a lot.
And if you want to hear us talk about Evil Dead Rise, which is the previous movie, I think,
Mhm.
I want to say check back in episode like 30 or 40 or something like that. It was around
No.
no, it was around
It was later than that.
it was we did excuse me, I think we did it around Halloween, and I can't remember if it was this Halloween or the previous Halloween.
I don't
I can't
remember.
remember.
I kinda wanna check.
Either way, I haven't watched it, but they also just posted uh, a spider noir featurette that I haven't seen yet.
I saw. It looks kinda cool. I want them to stop showing me stuff, though.
Sure, sure. Well, is there anything you watched this week?
I rewatched Slither, which many people have not heard of, but it is James Gunn's first movie. It's a horror comedy about alien slugs, and it stars Nathan Fillion and Michael Rooker. It is super goofy. It's a lot of fun. You can definitely tell a lot of his sensibilities before like he hit a more mainstream audience. But I enjoy it. I own it. I actually went through and I cataloged all of the physical media that I own. Comes out to 165
Jesus.
movies on Blu-rays and DVDs combined. So I figure, you know what, there's like 250-ish days left in the year. I'm gonna see if I can watch all this within a year. So I rewatched my copy of it.
Nice.
I do have tickets to go see a Super Mario Galaxy on Sunday after church, so I'm gonna finally watch that. And yeah, what have you seen?
Well, let me look at my list real quick. Well, Son of the Gods. I'm working backwards. I watched Roofman. It was really good. It is. Have you seen it, Hayden? I can't remember if you saw it before.
No, but I did talk to Dad about it, and he
Hmm.
said he had watched it. That it was definitely a lot more emotional than the trailers make you think it's going to be. Which, you know, same director behind Blue Valentine, so I'm not that shocked.
Yeah. It is. It gives a little bit similar vibes. I think with how it's shot, it feels very. Blue. I don't know. Blue Valentine had the same thing where it felt very like we're just gonna put this camera here and you can like
Sure.
figure it out. It is all based off true events that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so yep, Roofman. It was very good, but it was definitely like, oh, I'm sad most of this movie.
Yeah.
I watched Perrier's Bounty, which was a random Tubi suggestion.
I say
This
I've
is
never heard of it.
it's got like Cillian Murphy, Brendan Gleeson, Jim Broadbent,
Okay,
Liam
so
Cunningham. It's all the like well-known like Scottish or Irish actors doing a Scottish Irish kind of crime dark comedy vibe.
sure.
It was good. It was not great, but it was good. It kind of felt almost like it was trying to be like an old school, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels kind of vibe.
Okay.
And then, yes, I did see Speed Racer, which holy fucking shit, dude.
I'm so fucking jealous of you.
It's, I literally was like, I think I saw God. Like, that was goddamn amazing.
I mean, the amount of color and the sound, seeing that in IMAX, I'm sure.
Like, not even words can I, if I know they're only doing this for, because it was like the 20-year anniversary. If they did this every, I would go every year to this. It was amazing. Like, it was truly like, uh, I can't imagine seeing this movie in any other way because I'm like, dude, that was the fucking. That's the kind of movie you go to a theater and specifically to an IMAX showing for. The colors, the engine stuff, the finale where he's like finishing the Grand Prix and all like
Oh yeah.
the shit's going wild. Oh my god, dude,
How many
that
people were
beat
there? theater-wise?
Well, I went to a 7:15, and they originally it was just one day with only a few showings in the area. It was so busy that they added shows the following day, and both days were completely sold out. So like it was a full like 130 seat whatever IMAX showing.
Good.
The
I'm
trailer,
I'm I'm glad it's finally getting its due.
yes, and I've actually seen in the last week it is slowly getting higher and higher on Letterbox. Like it was overall rating is actually creepy because more and more people are like, "Oh, this was actually really good. I just forgot about it." What I found that maybe didn't work as well is because all of the racing and the problem I think is IMAX sets the volume for the whole movie, and not the whole movie should be that volume. Like some of the conversations and some of like when someone's yelling or like they're fighting a ninja, and I'm like, dude, this is again, I could have gotten a headache if I wasn't also so engrossed in the movie. But yes, absolutely. It was again, I granted maybe I just don't go to regular IMAX showings that much anymore, but I'm like, man, this was like $22, which is crazy. But also, that was one of the few times I'm like, okay, this actually feels like I'm paying like what this is worth. Is this worth $22? Yes, this is worth $22.
Because I have seen some IMAX movies where I'm like, I don't know if I would pay to see this in IMAX again. I would probably go for a normal show.
Mm-hmm. And that really was okay. And that was the thought of like,
Looking at
I've seen
you,
this.
Final Reckoning.
Yeah, we'll just we've seen. I mean, this came out 20 years ago, so I've probably seen this in every kind of view. Like I've seen this probably standard. I've seen this at home. I've seen this on my laptop. I've seen this on my phone. Like I've seen this many times, and I was like, this felt fucking right. Jesus. Yeah, I think that is all. And I think last week I talked. Did I talk about Sunshine last week?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, then yes, that is all that I've watched.
Cool, cool, cool.
Let's see. What
Well,
else?
next week, what are we doing next week?
Next week we are tentatively watching Blade Runner 2049, another Ryan Gosling epic. I mean, it's sci-fi, but it's definitely not sci-fi like you're thinking of Project Hail Mary. He says a lot less.
Yeah.
It's still, I think, again, visual. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but I think it's
Why
another
don't, why don't why don't
visually.
we save that for next week?
Yes, we'll say it. Either way, Blade Runner 2049. We might cut out some of that around that, but you can probably find it online somewhere if you have a physical copy. Great. And I think that's, I don't know, this feels like such a short episode, but that's okay sometimes, I guess.
That's all right. It's not, movie wasn't that interesting to talk about.
That's true. All right. Thanks for listening to episode 92 of the Movie Bros podcast. At some point in probably the next, let's see, 8 weeks, so 2 months, you might get a video with it as well. Either way, we'll catch you all next week for Blade Runner 2049.